Hello there, I'm Sarah, your natural endometriosis expert. Welcome to my podcast. This is the place to be for information, advice and tips on managing your endometriosis naturally. I've been managing my own endo now successfully for about 20 years, and I've been running my own therapy business since 2008, helping others to do the same. If you're curious to cut through all the noise and rubbish that's out there and learn the key to managing endometriosis with minimal reliance on drugs and surgery, then this is the only podcast you'll need. Let's get started. Hello there, welcome to this week's podcast. This week I am revisiting that old bugbear of mine, endometriosis and fertility. This month is obviously an International Endometriosis Awareness Month or Action Month, depending on who you follow. But even now, I'm still seeing the rhetoric, hearing the rhetoric that pregnancy is more difficult, even impossible if you've got endometriosis. Please do not believe this if you are trying to conceive. I did a podcast in September 2022 called Endometriosis and Fertility, and that talks a lot through the statistics. So if you're a statistics person, if you like the reality of the stats, then that I recommend checking out that podcast. And it talks a little bit about how to maximise your chances as well of a successful conception and a successful pregnancy. So in this podcast, I'm not going to repeat exactly what I said, other than to repeat the mantra that you can get pregnant when you have endometriosis. The headline stat is that it statistically isn't that much different. So the chances of a woman getting pregnant, or a couple getting pregnant, or a woman getting pregnant every month is between 10 and 20%. The chances of a woman with endometriosis getting pregnant each month is between 1 and 10%. So actually, it's not that different. Endometriosis does not necessarily mean that you are going to struggle to get pregnant. There are things around endometriosis that will impact your pregnancy journey, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about those because it very much depends on what your endometriosis looks like, how it manifests for you, and where it is. So if you're looking to get pregnant with endo, the first thing to do is to repeat the mantra every day: I can get pregnant. I will get pregnant. Your mind starts to believe this. Your mind is so powerful when it comes to belief systems and when it comes to translating into the physical. That link between our mind and our body is undeniably powerful. And our bodies will believe everything that our mind tells it. Our brain tells our mind, tells our soul, tells our body, and everything starts to believe it. So the more you tell yourself, the more you read, the more you see about the negative impact of endometriosis on your fertility journey, the more you will believe that. The more you will believe it, that will become your reality. So let's flip that belief. Let's reframe that belief. You can get pregnant. You will get pregnant. So that's the first thing to say. Say that out loud, write it down every day, journal it in exactly the same way that I've worked with women who don't have endometriosis, who are trying to maximise their chances of getting pregnant, and we do exactly the same. The first thing is to believe that you will get pregnant. Then we can take inspired action. It's almost like, if you've heard me talking about manifesting in various other guises that I have, it's almost like manifesting this pregnancy. The first thing to do is to believe that you will get pregnant, and to believe that it is going to happen, and to believe that it is happening. So I can get pregnant. I will get pregnant. Say it loud, say it proud, write it down, believe it. Then we need to manifest. We need to give that reality the best chance of manifesting to us. So where is your endometriosis? What is your endometriosis? So endometriosis will have an impact, more of an impact, I should say, on your fertility journey if it is blocking your tubes. It stands to reason that if your tubes are blocked, you need a healthy passage of the egg down through your tubes in order to have a successful pregnancy naturally. So if your tubes are blocked, then take some action around unblocking the tubes, either unblocking the tubes surgically or even looking at IVF. Work out as well, if it's just blocked on one side, our bodies don't always ovulate from the same side. So take a few cycles and tune in to the pain, the flutterings, the symptoms that you're getting, anything that you get around ovulation, you will be able after time to pretty much, it's not guess, but pretty much identify or correctly guess the side that you're ovulating from. There may be a pattern to this, so you may ovulate from the right one month, the left the next month. It might be that clear cut, it might be that cut and dry. It might not be, but it might be that you start to notice triggers or symptoms that you get that indicate which side you're going to be ovulating from that month. If you know that your tubes are blocked on the left-hand side, and if you know that you're going to be ovulating on the right-hand side that month, then prioritise getting pregnant naturally that month. Surgery as well is always an option, as I always say, and IVF as well, if you want to go down that route, but we'll talk a little bit about that more in detail. So obviously you've got the physical constraints. So if you're experiencing blockages in your tubes, then you will need to take some sort of action around making sure that that doesn't impact on your pregnancy journey. There's also the inflammation that we get. There's also the cysts. Now, the cysts and the inflammation, essentially what's happening in Chinese terms is we're getting stagnation in our abdomen. That is a toxic breeding ground, and that makes it sound awful. It's not awful, but equally it's not the optimum environment for strong, healthy eggs, for strong, healthy sperm and strong, healthy babies. So what we want to be doing in the run-up to getting pregnant, in the run-up to conception, and at any point throughout this pregnancy, is to minimise the inflammation, minimise the cysts, minimise that toxicity, that stagnation that we're seeing. So what we want to be seeing is, if you think about your abdomen as a river, almost, if you think about your tubes as a river, if you think about your abdomen as a beautiful Scottish loch, what we want to be seeing is healthy water. We don't want any of that stagnation. So what we don't want to see is exactly the same as when you look at a river and there's a blockage in the river and you see all of bits of stagnant pond water. That's what we want to try and get rid of in the abdomen. So we want to see fresh water coming in, flowing through and keeping everything fresh. So exactly the same as the river, exactly the same as the pond. What creates that freshness? What do we not want to see that's going to cause a stagnation? So stagnation happens when there's things like leaves, twigs, branches blocking the pathway of the water. When we see fresh water coming in, so rainfall, aeration through rainfall, so oxygenation. We want to get free-flowing water, free-flowing chi, if you believe in the concept of chi. We want to get that moving through your abdomen. So do some gentle abdominal exercises, nothing that's going to tighten anything, because what we see is muscle tightness, soft tissue tightness is often what causes this stagnation. The inflammation that we get because of it can increase the toxicity, increase the stagnation within our abdomen. So we want to be relaxing everything down. If you know of a pelvic floor specialist, if you have pelvic floor therapy, then make sure what they're doing is not tightening your abdominal muscles. Quite often when we work on our pelvic floor, we do things like Kegel exercises. We're doing that tightening of the pelvis because there's an assumption that women seek support with their pelvic floor because it has weakened or prolapsed during pregnancy. Actually, with endometriosis especially, but if you're trying to get pregnant, what we want to do is relaxing those muscles. We want to relax everything down there to keep things flowing freely. It's exactly the same as I talk about in endometriosis in general, but it's even more important when we're trying to conceive. So find a pelvic floor specialist, go to a pelvic floor specialist who at least understands the concept of endometriosis, who can help you relax your pelvic floor, relax your abdomen, your lower back as well, your sacral chakra, if you're into chakras, your base chakra and your sacral chakra. Releasing any tension around there, releasing any tension in your sacrum, releasing any tension in your lower spine and your lower back. All of this causes stagnation. Think of it as that pond, think of it as that river. Any tension you've got in your body is creating small amounts of toxicity, small amounts of stagnation. And that's what we want to get rid of, because the less stagnation we have, the better quality egg we have and the better quality of the sperm. So when we have that incredibly toxic environment, when we have that stagnation of all the inflammation and the clotting and the bloating, all of that is not an optimum environment for sperm to exist, or for our eggs to develop, or for the baby to develop. So again, if you picture that that pond, that beautiful Scottish loch, that river, if you picture that in your mind, that's what we want to see in your abdomen. We want to see this lush green environment. We want to see free-flowing water. We want to see a lack of all the stuff that makes it toxic, all of the smelly buildup of leaves, all of the nasty twigs that are getting in your way. We want rid of that. We just want the lush, green, fertile environment. Drink lots and lots of water. So exactly the same as the stagnant pond. The water brings with it an amount of oxygen, but it brings with it an amount of movement. So as well as getting the movement in your abdomen from movement, from pelvic exercises, what we also want to see is get that movement from water. So that obviously the more you drink, the more you're going to want to wee. But if you can stick with that for a few days, then you will get beyond that. It normally takes maybe about 10 days for your body to get used to a certain level of water. So if you increase your water intake massively, you'll start to see a huge shift in how your abdomen is behaving. So you would hope to see a reduction in bloating, you would hope to see an improvement in your bowel health, you would hope to see an improvement in the general inflammation that you're feeling. Something so simple, but something that we are all, and I include myself in this, we are all really bad at staying hydrated. When I talk about hydration, I talk about drinking water. So I don't include brews, I don't include even herbal teas, I don't include squash or fizzy drinks, literally water. Drink as much pure water as you can. If you don't like it, then try a filtered version of the water. Try bottled water. Keep your bottled water in glass bottles if you can. But drink as much pure water as you can. The more hydrated you are, the better abdominal health you have, the reduction in toxicity, the reduction in that stagnation happens, and the better quality your egg will be. The sperm can live for longer, and the better chance you have of a I've said it again, of a successful conception and oh my goodness, I don't know whether to re-record this, or a successful conception and a successful pregnancy outcome. So what we want to see, just to recap, is a reduction in the stagnation, a reduction in the toxicity. You are going to minimise your chance of unsuccessful pregnancy if you do all of this stuff. The other thing we want to see is, like I say about the movement, if you can get abdominal movement into your daily routine, then that's massively helpful. Now, our ability with endometriosis to get abdominal exercise is quite varied. So sometimes in the month you may be able to do sit-ups or whatever without any problems, but that does, or it can fluctuate depending on your symptoms essentially. So what I want to do is move away from this idea of exercise and move towards movement. So abdominal exercises again tend to be things like sit-ups, they tend to be things like weighted exercise to improve our abs. The problem with that is that it's improving the muscle tone, but it's also, if we have any tension in the soft tissue, if we have any inflammation, it's also impacting on that. So you're potentially increasing the blockage to this free-flowing abdomen that we want to see if we're trying to conceive. So instead of looking to things like sit-ups or whatever it is that you're doing to exercise your abdomen, move towards gentle movement. So move towards a really gentle Qigong exercise, a really gentle Tai Chi exercise, really gentle rocking movements. So even if you're struggling with a flare-up, if you only do 5 minutes of abdominal breath work, or five minutes of gently relaxing and gently tensing the lower abdominal muscles, that's beautiful. You're getting that movement in. What we want to see from that movement is physical movement, exactly the same as almost like the waves on the loch, shifting those twigs. If you can imagine the movement, the gentle tide, gently washing away all the sticks, all the twigs, all the leaves that are going to cause that blockage. That gentle movement in the abdomen is almost like recreating that. So we want to keep that free flow. We want to keep that kind of tidal scenario going. And then things like I say, Tai Chi, so gentle movements from side to side, rocking from side to side, twisting from your hips, so keeping your legs standing up and keeping your legs facing forward, your knees facing forward, relaxing your hips off, and just gently turning from side to side, very, very slowly, very gently, relaxing everything as you go, breathing in straightening yourself up. Imagine there's a cord coming from the top of your head up to the ceiling, and pull that cord so your head is lifted and you're moving your shoulders. I'm actually doing that. I don't know if you can hear me moving on the microphone. I'm actually doing it as I'm sat down. So you're moving from side to side. You're twisting your body from side to side, even dipping down one side. So bring your arms to your sides and just really gently, really slowly, just extend one arm down to your knee, so your body is tilting from one side to the other. Then you're coming up straight again, then you're dipping down at the other side as you slide your arm down your leg to your opposite knee again. Then come back to the standing position. So you're gently moving your abdomen. What we don't want to do is put it into any trauma. We don't want to cause any muscle ache, any muscle tension, any soft tissue tension. What we're trying to do is relax it all off. Abdominal massage as well is a really nice way of releasing toxins, of releasing, if you will, the sticks and the branches that are getting in the way. It's exactly the same as a back muscle massage, or when you go and get your legs massaged after a run or a hockey match or whatever it is we've been doing. Abdominal massaging is exactly the same. There are tips to remember when you're massaging your abdomen. So don't go against the flow of the bowel is the main tip to remember. What we don't want to be doing is pushing things back the other way. But if you're going to give yourself a really gentle tummy massage, that's a really nice way of just releasing any tension, releasing any blockage, and getting that free flow. Massage, as we know, when we have back massages, it makes us feel better. It increases our oxygen flow and it increases relaxation. Abdominal massage does exactly the same, and it relaxes all of those tense areas, all of those areas of stagnation. It relaxes all of those off in the abdomen. So essentially, if you're going to maximize your chance of conception, if you're going to manifest, if you're going to cause that reality behind the statement, I can get pregnant, I will get pregnant, what you want to do is increase that fertile environment in your abdomen. With endo, we have an increased chance of it being toxic, increased chance of it being stagnant. When we have cysts, inflammation, that's a physical representation of that going on. So minimize all of that and you're massively increasing your chances of pregnancy. Remember, your chances to begin with aren't that diminished. They might not even be diminished at all. It just depends where your endo is and how it manifests. So understanding your endo is the first key to understanding your chances of conception. And remember, conception isn't necessarily easy for women without endometriosis as well. So the fact that you are struggling to conceive might be due to something else. Stress plays a huge part. When we are in fight or flight, our bodies sort of shut off, not completely, but they shut down the priority that it gives to non-essential functions. So if you're running away from something, a big tiger or whatever, then the last thing you're going to be thinking about is procreating, because you're just looking to survive yourself. So the body deems procreation as a non-essential system. So it essentially shuts down energy. It deprioritizes having a baby. So if you're living with high levels of stress and anxiety, be that endo-related or just generally, that's going to be impacting on your fertility chances. So look at everything else that's going on. Don't assume that if you're struggling to get pregnant, it's because of your endometriosis. It could be general stress levels. It could not be your fault. There is a massive assumption that a failure to get pregnant is the woman's responsibility. And yes, I'm going to say the word, it's the woman's fault. But actually it might well not be. So don't shoulder all of that responsibility on yourself. It takes two people to get pregnant, not just the one. And whatever is the reason behind the difficulties, it's important to share that responsibility. It's important to be really gentle with yourself and ensure that your partner is being equally gentle with you as well, because guilt and shame play a massive, massive role in our abdominal health. We know if we're feeling guilty about something, we feel it in our bodies. If we're feeling shame about something, that sits actually within one of the major muscles in our abdomen. Shame sits there, it tenses things up, it makes things stagnant. So it might not be about your endometriosis. Don't assume it is, and just be really, really gentle with yourself. Tell yourself that you can get pregnant. Tell yourself that you will get pregnant, and you will be maximising your chances to get pregnant. Remember, at best, a woman has a 20% chance of getting pregnant every month. That's kind of a game of roulette in itself. So don't let endometriosis be something that just gets you more stressed, that makes you feel even more guilt and shame, because A, it might not be your endo, and B, if you follow these tips, if you try for that beautiful, fertile, non-stagnant pool of Scottish lock in your abdomen, then you will be massively increasing your chances of conception and healthy pregnancy. There are people out there as well who make sure your specialists, your GP, if you're under all of these people, make sure that obviously they're aware that you have endometriosis. Don't assume that everybody who is working with you will know about your endometriosis. Gone are the days that we have one consultant, that we have one IVF specialist who looks after you for your whole journey. You will probably see 4 or 5 different people on your journey, on your endo journey generally. But if you are going down this assisted fertility route, even if you're just having tests to identify any issues, you will see many, many people. Tell each and every one of them that you have endometriosis, because chances are they may not have read their notes. They certainly won't have been told verbally, and chances of them reading the notes vary significantly from facility to facility. And not to be too damaging, but from facility to facility, the actual note-keeping abilities or the note-keeping records vary massively as well. So don't assume everybody knows you have endometriosis. Tell everybody and anybody, and don't assume that that's the cause of the reason you're struggling to get pregnant. If you're trying to get pregnant naturally or with assisted techniques, then aim for that beautiful, tranquil, serene, healthy Scottish lock in your abdomen, and you will be doing everything you can. Check out the other podcasts as well about stats and other tips around diet and things. But I wish you all the best if you are currently on a fertility journey. Do let me know if this helps. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really hope that you found this podcast helpful. If you did, please hit follow so you can listen to more, and please also share it with anyone else who you think will benefit. And don't forget, if you're looking for women's health treatments, workshops or support within your workplace, you can find all of my services, including our monthly virtual clinic, over at www.healthyandwomenshealth.com. I'll see you next time.